If you spend your days overthinking that it stops you from living the life that you want and experiencing joy, then this video is for you. Living a soft life can mean different things to different people. It could mean rejecting hustle culture for a more simpler, minimalist life. Or it could mean self-care and living in luxury where you don't have to worry about a thing because you have everything that you could ever want. When we're overthinking, we're usually very anxious as well. By living a softer life, naturally, that's going to allow you to stop overthinking and just be in the moment. I think a lot of it is being present. To me, living a softer life is all about letting go of the things that we can't control and allowing that creative energy to just flow through us without any judgment or fear or rejection from our own selves. It's about not being so hard on myself that it stops me from living the life that I want or doing the things that I've dreamed of. It's about letting things just be and allowing things to be imperfect. Because there is beauty in the imperfect, and we shouldn't be striving for perfection in every little thing that we do. When we're overthinking, it's because it comes from a fear of failure or an anxiety of the future and trying to get a grasp and control over things in the future when all we can control is what's in our present moment. I put together 10 habits that have helped me truly embrace this. It's not an easy task by any means. Habit number 1 is to practice self-compassion. Chances are, if you're an overthinker, you're probably really hard on yourself. You're probably a goal-getter and you're probably striving for bigger and better. We don't ever stop and just look back at what we actually have done and be grateful for it. There's a term I always say, something is better than nothing. So if you're trying to live this self-improvement life and you're trying to improve all these aspects of your life, but you don't get to do all 10 of the habits on your checklist every day, that's okay. Because what's good is that you did more than you did the day before. And having compassion for yourself is that first step of just breathing and being like, oh, okay, I am doing something right. And you start to learn to love yourself in the process. And I think that that's the hardest thing. Habit number 2 is something called the let them theory. I think it came from Mel Robbins, if I'm not mistaken. If there are people in your life that are doing something or saying something, when you are able to say, let them and live your life the way you want to live it, you give up control. Because the problem that we have when we get so worked up and our emotions are all going crazy and we're like mad at the world, it's because of something someone else did that you have no control or no power over. The minute that you can stop and say, let them do what they're gonna do. Let them say what they're gonna say. I'm gonna be over here working on myself, and I'm gonna have some self-compassion for myself and love myself and just let them. The minute that you do that, you really stop trying to take control of the situation and you live a softer life. And it stops some of that overthinking, because how many times have you gone to your friend and been like, I can't believe he did this. And you go through the whole list of all the things that just riled you up that day. I can't believe he said this. I can't believe he did that. What does he expect? Da, 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 da. The more energy you give to that, the less you have to give to yourself, to the goals that you have, the dreams that you have. Habit number 3 is to just do it. If you're a business owner, you probably have this feeling where you go on social media and everything out there is trying to teach you. You get a little bit overwhelmed. You're like, okay, but what's right and what's wrong? Because there's so much information. And when there's so much information, sometimes the best thing that you can do is just step away and just go on feeling. You know internally what you need to do, but the more that you try to take lessons from all these different people, the less you're gonna act on things yourself. Do it imperfectly. Do it without fear or shame. Don't stress yourself out and overthink all the little steps, because that really stops you from doing. To live that soft life, it really is about just letting go of that control and just letting it be. Have that creative energy flow out of you. Someone said this once, I don't want to take credit for it. There are stupider people out there making a lot more money in the exact same industry that you would like to be in. So just step out there, because they weren't scared to do it. So why are you? Habit number 4 is to listen to your body. If you aren't listening to your body and what it needs, and not only that, taking it a step further and saying, It's okay if you don't feel like doing something today. When you're living a soft life, it's all about, again, energy and just not forcing things to happen. Instead, I want you to stop, slow down, and say, hey, today I'm a little too sore to do this, but you know what I'm not sore to do is take a walk outside, spend some time in nature, do something that's gonna make me feel better and something that has to do with my body without judgment and allowing it to just be. Have that compassion for yourself. Habit number 5 is called the art of noticing. You create a photo album called the art of noticing, and every day take a photo of something or a video of something that you noticed that was really small and insignificant, but it brought you some beauty in some way. When I walk the dog and maybe I see a tree that has leaves that are a little bit different than other trees, I take a little video of that just because I thought it looked really cool. Or maybe you see a beautiful sunset. There are days where I don't have that many things or I kind of forget to document, but I can always get a sunset because that's the time I walk my dog. Seeing a butterfly on a wall, or even just shadows of branches, or maybe it's a picture of my dog, something that brings me joy, that looks cool, maybe it's unique, or it's something that, you know, in my normal day-to-day I would totally like breeze on past it. When I focus on the art of noticing, I start to see more things around me. And I think that that's something that's really beautiful, and it could allow a little bit more mindfulness and creativity to flow out of you. Number 6 is having a no spend month. The soft life really, to me, isn't about buying expensive skincare products. The soft life journey is really about inner work, not outer expression. When you put yourself through a no spend month, you start to have gratitude for things that you have in your day-to-day. Maybe it's things that you probably don't use very often, and now you get a chance to use it. Habit number 7 is to practice slow mornings. Taking a moment without the TV or without podcast and music and all of these things that are always taking our attention away, and making coffee in silence or journaling, like taking a moment and practicing slowing down rather than waking up and being like, go, go, go. I know there's something to be said about waking up at 4 a.m., but if anything, I feel like I would be pressured and rushed into it. It's just not my vibe. Having a moment to yourself to just slow things down, enjoy your cup of coffee, and just being slow. Number 8 is a digital cleanup. And while we're at it, not only cleaning up, but like adding inspirational things that you want back in. I bet you've had your social media forever, and you probably have a lot of people on there that you probably don't want to follow anymore. Whether that's muting them or completely taking them out, I would recommend just taking that out of your space. It's not realistic for us to say we're not going to be on social media. So at least limiting or protecting that bubble that you're in. If right now I'm trying to practice a slow life, I don't want some guy telling me how to run a business and create a 7-figure business right now. What I want is someone showing me how to embrace my creativity and all of that stuff. So I may either mute them or delete them completely so that my space is a little more protected, and introduce new things that like yoga and spiritual manifestation, like different things like that, into my digital space, because that's gonna bring those vibes and make me really comfortable. Habit number 9 is to journal to shift your thoughts. I have like maybe 5 or 6 journals that all have a couple pages written in there, and then I feel like I have to start over with a new journal every time I go through this phase. And the reason is because I start to overthink what I put in it, because I'm like, oh well, you know, I don't know what to write. It doesn't look the same way as other people. My handwriting is da 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 da, and I just overthink myself into not writing in a journal. Writing down the thought that you have and then shifting it and putting a different spin on it. If you have a thought like, man, I feel like I never accomplish anything that I want. On the other side, I'm not lazy. If I was lazy, I wouldn't even be taking the opportunity to write this and do this journal. So you take the thoughts that you have and by yourself try to change the way you're thinking about it. And I think that that's not only helpful for positivity, but it does allow you to be more grateful. You just have to do it long enough and have a plan. I went through one day and I went to like TikTok and I was like, okay, journaling strategies, and I found the ones that were really cool. goal and I wrote them down. Anytime I open my journal and I don't know what to write, I go there and I'm like, okay, this seems easy enough. Let's just start with that. And then I start writing that and then more thoughts come to me. And so that's where you can just let yourself have no judgment. Allow that energy to flow out of you and be expressive and creative. And number 10, I think it's my favorite one, romanticizing the hard things. When we romanticize something, it's all about making it a whole vibe, a whole experience in and of itself. So for example, when I kind of went sober, I'm not gonna say I'm completely sober because I'll have the occasional glass of wine or margarita, but I don't do it nearly that often. When I decided to do this, I was like, okay, but I'm going from a habit of like having a glass of wine every night to not having that at all. What's the in between? So I started looking up mocktails on TikTok and I started making these cute little mocktails at home. And I'm like, okay, this is a whole vibe and an experience. And I'm just an adult drinking juice at this point with some cherry juice, magnesium, lime juice, mixing it all up. I started buying like Olipop, Poppy, and things like that to just boost it, give that like fizziness that you're looking for. But that would be a perfect example of just romanticizing something that in theory is actually really hard. Let's not just take it away completely and drink water. Let's find that in between. Another example of this is if you struggle to go to the gym and it's like the hardest thing for you to do. I saw someone do this and I thought it was genius. Pre-game your workout. We all know the vibes of turning on your music really loud, grabbing your drink, and just dancing in the bathroom with your friends, putting on makeup and doing your hair to go out on a Saturday night. Why don't we do that in different areas of our life? What, because we're too grown for that? If you know you're gonna go to the gym, maybe 30 minutes before, if you have the time, get your pre-workout or a coffee or an energy drink or something and dance and put on a cute outfit. Take whatever is really hard for you right now, the thing that you're having the most resistance toward, and figure out a way to make that an experience and romanticize it a little bit. So I really hope that all of that helped you. I will say that all 10 of these are things that I am practicing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. I mean, I have to do them all at the same time, but I would recommend choosing maybe like your top 3 that you seem to gravitate towards and trying it out for a little bit and see if it's something that you like and can get into it. The point of living a soft life is to be in the moment, be in the present moment, stop overthinking and just let yourself be and give up some control. I know overthinking is hard and I think it's part of my personality sometimes, but the more that I try to rewire that and stop saying that I'm an overthinker or, you know, I'm a perfectionist and just do things, like I'm gonna have tendencies. I've been like this for 30 years. I'm not gonna change overnight, but if we all agree to make small little changes every day, I think that that's what it's all about. So I really, really hope that helped. And please leave me a comment if you gravitated towards any of these that I talked about today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now. Okay, so this wraps up the trip. We are back in the car, ready to go. Minnie's in her little car seat, which she is definitely not a fan of. It's a little hot. We did about a 30-minute hike behind the property. They have a few trails, which was really nice. And just to kind of wrap up this trip, if you're someone who wants a quiet little getaway from the city, you want to see a beautiful sunset or sunrise, you want to journal, read a book, meditate, stretch, do yoga, and hiking, this is definitely a good trip for you. This is way more of a quiet getaway from the city life. Bring a cooler, bring your food with you, be prepared because you are in nature. I wasn't expecting to see a scorpion on my bed and I freaked out. Apparently nobody else here has ever had that experience, or maybe I was just lucky. Maybe there's some good vibes or omens with having scorpions found in your bed. Who knows? But that definitely led to me being a little bit more anxious throughout this trip, and I didn't have a good night's sleep either of the nights just because I kept thinking about that and I kept thinking about Minnie. But in general, this is a good trip. I would be cautious if you're coming in the summertime. Maybe try to plan your trip when the weather is, you know, between 50 and 70 degrees. I would rather be colder than too hot. Because it was a little bit too hot in my room, I had to go to a restaurant for a few hours on Saturday to get away from this because being in my room was just impossible. They have a pool here. I could have gone to the pool and then I just would have been thinking about Minnie the whole time and how she's, you know, breathing heavy and panting in the room because it's so hot. So I didn't want to do all of that. And so we went to a restaurant. We sat on the patio and
people watched. I definitely think I had the best room in this place. I have the best view. I have a patio, I have string lights, you know, I had a sunset to watch every night. So I definitely think if you come back, you should go to Courage and like pick that room specifically. But again, try to come when it's maybe not 95 as a high, because the sun sets right by my windows. So anything after like 3 p.m. it's hot, and the rooms are not built like well insulated, so any AC that you have is definitely coming out. Other than that, it was a beautiful little trip. It definitely separates the normal life from here. Like I feel like, okay, I feel a little refreshed. Having a TV to distract me constantly, like just to fill up noise in the background, I always turn on my TV. So coming out here, I didn't have that, and it was really nice. So like as I'm getting ready, it allowed me to listen to the birds and little things like that, which I don't even think about in my normal day-to-day. That type of stuff is really cool, and I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something like that. There was a lot of solo travelers here, so I wasn't alone. There were no kids, and I definitely saw like 3 or 4 people with dogs, so that was cool. It was nice. It was so nice. So now Minnie is about to fall asleep. Although I don't think she can, because she really hates the car. She gets really anxious. This is gonna wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for watching this whole experience with me. If you have any questions, if you live in Austin or nearby and want to make a quick trip to Dripping Springs, let me know. I'll help answer any questions that you have. Yeah, it was a pretty nice experience. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.